Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is your host Salim Akhtar Malik on the Observation Post channel. In this session, we'll discuss about the China-India confrontation going on in Ladakh for the last many months. Since April this year, China has already shifted the so-called line of actual control further to the west, taking over 1,000 square kilometers area claimed by India. Before we proceed further, I would request you to please subscribe to my channel. It is free. Now, before proceeding further, I would like to give you a short historical background of the claims and counterclaims on this region. If not for the Sikh forays during the 19th century and the engineered accession of Jammu and Kashmir in 1947, post-independence, India would not have shared borders with Pakistan in the Vale of Kashmir and with Pakistan and China in the Karakorams and the Ladakh region. So today we'll be discussing about China and India. Why do they embroil in eastern Ladakh? And to whom does this large wasteland belong? If you see on this map, the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir, as it existed in October 1947, was a manufactured entity. With the assistance of mercenaries, foreign as well as local, Ranjit Singh was able to invade and throw together a mixed bag of geographically disparate regions of Kashmir Valley, Ladakh, and the Karakorams. Ranjit Singh had shiftily dealt with the British power and the regional players to accomplish his military objectives. Ranjit Singh had hired American and French mercenaries to train his infantry, cavalry, and artillery. Now, this is the region which is known as the Aksai Plateau. The Maharaja of Kashmir had laid claim to Aksai also, although it had never been a part of India or of Kashmir. The claim was based on a survey carried out in 1865 by one William Johnson, a civil servant with the Survey of India. According to the line drawn by Johnson, known as the Johnson line, Aksai was shown as part of Jammu and Kashmir. This was the time when China did not control Xinjiang, so this line was never presented to the Chinese. Based on Johnson's demarcation, the Maharaja claimed the territory to the north as far as the Kunlun Mountains. So these are the Kunlun Mountains. These are the Kunlun Mountains. So, in effect, he claimed the whole of Aksai. During the heady days of Nehru era, independent India considered itself the successor to the British Empire in India and maintained that since the northern frontiers were defined by what was then the government of India, the post-independence government of India was the guarantor of Tibet and heir to all the territories occupied by the Sikhs and Dogras. During the 1950s, unbeknownst to the world, and while India had no physical presence in this area, Chinese built a 1,200 kilometer road connecting Xinjiang with western Tibet, of which 179 kilometers ran south of the Johnson line. So now, this was the Johnson line shown shown in blue. So Chinese had constructed in the 1950s this highway known as the Western Highway, linking Tibet, this is Tibet, with Xinjiang. At that time, China did not occupy the whole of Oxygen. It did that during the 1962 war, the border war with India. Now, starting 1960, Nehru initiated an aggressive forward policy to hinder Chinese military logistics, in which India established outposts along the disputed border with China, both in the western and eastern sectors, including several north of the eastern portion of the line of actual control proclaimed by Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai. Unable to reach political accommodation on disputed territory along the 3,222 kilometer long Himalayan border, China launched simultaneous offensives in Ladakh and across the McMahon line in the eastern sector. And the attack was launched, or the offensive was launched on 20th October 1962. Chinese troops advanced in both theaters, capturing large chunks of the disputed territory. The war ended when China declared a ceasefire on 2nd November 1962 and simultaneously announced its withdrawal to its claimed line of actual control. Now, this line of actual control we'll discuss later. The line of actual control, as it is referred today, is a demarcation line that separates Indian controlled territory from Chinese controlled territory in the former princely state of Jammu and Kashmir after the 62 war. Before they left, the Chinese advised the Indians not to approach within 20 kilometers of the line of actual control. Now, presently, the undemarcated military line separating the Chinese and Indian armies, that is the line of actual control, is roughly aligned along the Nubra River. Now, this is the Nubra River. Although it is not demarcated, but roughly aligned along Nubra River. And both the sides can interpret it according to their perception. Now, Nubra River is a tributary of the Shyok River. It starts from or originates from Siachen Glacier and flows down south, where it joins Shyok River at Diskit, and thereafter the reinforced Shyok River further flows down south and empties into what is known as the Pangong Lake. As early as 2012, Ravi Rekhe, an Indian defense analyst, had expressed his apprehension that as an interim measure, the Chinese would like the LAC in this area to run along the Shyok River. Now, this is the Shyok River. Presently, the line of actual control runs along Nubra River, and it is speculated that the Chinese want this line to run further towards the west and be aligned along Shyok River. Strategically, this is the Chinese view. The Chinese want the new alignment of the line to protect Aksai Chin. Why do they want the line of actual control to run along the Shiok River is to protect the approaches and the features dominating the Aksai Chin Plateau. Aksai Chin, located to the east of Ladakh, now this is Aksai Chin, this area. It is a high altitude desert covering an area of 37,244 square kilometers. The region is almost uninhabited. We see that starting 1959, Aksai Chin was the eye of the storm, which generated the disputes and later armed conflicts between India and China. Aksai Chin is important for India as well as China because it links China's Tibet and Xinjiang autonomous regions. In the recent years, Aksai Chin has gained added importance as it controls the access to China-Pakistan economic corridor, China's future lifeline to the Indian Ocean. Now, this brings us to the Dispang Plains. This area to the east of Aksai Chin Plateau is a gravelly plain which is called Dispang Plains, and divided into Indian and Chinese administered portions. Some area belongs to China and some to the India. The Indians appreciate that a future war in this area will be a two-front war in which Pakistan and China will launch a three-direction combined offensive against the Indian positions in Ladakh and Baltistan along the western, that is the Pakistani, and the northern, that is the Chinese approaches. This offensive may result in India losing all the areas northeast, east, and southeast of Leh, making Indus River the new line of control with Pakistan and China. So ultimately, the Indians speculate that the line of control, that is the line of actual control between China and India, will be aligned along the Indus River. What if India reaches an agreement with China formalizing the Sino-India border along Indus River? What will be the implications for China? Now, China playing cat and mouse with India over the line of actual control has one important objective, that is to prevent any future threat to China's sovereignty over Aksai Chin and secure the approaches linking it with Pakistan in the Karakoram region. This is where Karakoram Tract, Karakoram Pass, and Siachen Glacier derive their strategic importance, both for China and Pakistan. The more China pushes the line of actual control westward, the greater will be the security of CPEC. Indians, for more than half a century, are fighting a rearguard action against the westward creeping Chinese. And there is a growing realization among the Indian intelligentsia that India should settle its border dispute with China once and for all to focus on its economic development. This brings us to the Gilgit-Baltistan region. This is to the west of Ladakh as the Gilgit-Baltistan region, which is presently controlled by Pakistan, and it is soon going to become a province of Pakistan. In 1947 and 48, Pakistan had thwarted Indian ambitions of gaining contiguity with Afghanistan, Indian contiguity with Afghanistan by liberating this region, that is the Gilgit-Baltistan region. It is increasingly resorting to, now realizing that India cannot snatch Gilgit-Baltistan from Pakistan in a conventional war. India is increasingly resorting to an indirect approach by fomenting interest in this area. Now, have the Indians reconciled to the loss of territory in eastern Ladakh? Let us see what General Panag, a former GOCNC India's Northern Command, what does he say? He says, it is time for the political leadership to take charge. China has changed the goalposts and negotiations with focus on the 1959 claim line, and the larger boundary issue cannot be left to the generals. The hallmark of statesmen is not to exploit emotions through rhetoric, but use their popularity to convince the public about unpalatable strategic decisions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has both popularity and political skill. Will he bite the bullet? Will Narendra Modi bite the bullet by agreeing to having the line of actual control between China and India aligned along River Indus? Thanks for viewing and be seeing you.